let's make it very clear that the people who carry out acts of terrorism, whether it be Al-Qaeda or the Islamic State of Iraq and Levant, are doing it because they believe that it is consistent with what their view of Islam is. It is totally inconsistent with what the overwhelming majority of Muslims throughout the world. And so by ascribing it as a Muslim terrorism or Islamic extremism, I think it really does give them the type of Islamic legitimacy that they are so desperately seeking, but which they don't deserve at all.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, although we had the terrorist attack today in Tunisia, I thought it was about time we heard from John Brennan. Did you hear what he said? That the terrorists that are doing this are doing it because they believe they're following a form of Islam. So he admitted that. He admitted that. But because the overwhelming majority of Muslims, he says, don't agree with that it's a form of Islam, we shouldn't call it that. That's insane. That is insane, and it's offensive. Unless he's a Muslim, and Obama's not, and Kerry's not, and Hillary's not, unless you're a Muslim, how do you say to a Muslim, that's not Islam? As a Christian, I don't know what he is. But, like I've said, there's all forms of Judaism, from Reformed to Orthodox to Hasidic, right on up the line and down the line. Could a Christian say to one of those groups, you're not a Jew, you're not a real Jew? Of course not. So this is ridiculous, but here's more.
They are terrorists, they're criminals, many of them are psychopathic thugs, murderers, who use a religious concept and masquerade and mask themselves in that religious construct. And I do think it does injustice to the tenets of religion when we attach a religious moniker to them. The Muslims I know and the worst people I've worked with throughout the Middle East, throughout most of my career, find just disgraceful that these individuals present themselves as Muslim.
Yeah, I know. Well, look, again, what could I say? I could say it till I'm blue in the face. It's not going to convince these people in this administration. They're not blind to what's going on. They just refuse to admit it. He admitted he refuses to admit it. He admitted he recognizes it, but he won't say it because it's offensive. What a way to win a war. Next.
Words that we use can have resonance, and so if things that we talk about publicly, this is Islamic extremist, a lot of these individuals are proud of being referred to as Islamic extremists. We don't want to give them, again, any type of religious legitimacy because what they do has no basis in any upstanding religion.
Well, but that conflicts, collides with what he said at the beginning, that these people are doing this because they believe it is their religion. It is based on Islam. He may disagree with it, but again, unless he's a Muslim, who is he to say? More.
Lest we get on our high horse and think this is unique to some other place, remember that during the Crusades and the Inquisition, people committed terrible deeds in the name of Christ. In our home country, slavery and Jim Crow all too often was justified in the name of Christ.
All right, so he's doing what Brennan just said we shouldn't do. Right? He's going back to the Crusades and attributing a religion to it. Now, here's John Brennan back in 2010. You want to know where his sympathies lie? Listen to this.
And during a 25-year career in government, I was privileged to serve in positions across the Middle East, as a political officer with the State Department and as a CIA station chief in Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, I saw how our Saudi partners fulfilled their duty as custodian of the two holy mosques of Mecca and Medina. I marveled at the majesty of the Hajj and the devotion of those who fulfilled their duty as Muslims by making that pilgrimage. And in all my travels, the city I have come to love most is Al-Quds, Jerusalem.
Al-Quds. He calls Jerusalem Al-Quds, the Arabic name for Jerusalem. When I say where his sympathies lie, I mean, who's he favoring? The Arab cause or the Israeli cause? You decide. Your Newsmax Now updates next.